Making quality scalable software is a difficult thing, but in recent teams I've worked in, designers seem like a rare commodity. Developers, product owner, designers should be working together to make great scalable software. But if the design resource isn't available, there's a big problem. So what is that problem and how can we solve it? Let's take a look. Many teams I've worked in have put designers outside of their Scrum teams. So this means that a designer isn't embedded in the team and perhaps gets more time to do their core job. But this isn't really a Scrum-like approach. The team don't have all the resources required to be able to perform their tasks and deliver the user stories. So it can make it tricky to deliver the software. An approach I've seen is to have the designer working ahead of the rest of the team. But this makes the approach less agile. You're working to more of a waterfall model. So is there another way? Another common approach is for a designer to work part-time in many teams. But I've always seen this as difficult to manage, as in what is the designer doing when they're not working for teams A or B, or when some work comes in from one of the teams and they say they don't have time, which is the priority? Who decides it? Who decides if that clash is real or not? So it becomes rather tricky having the designer part-time. And what if the scrums are at the same time? Which are attended? It's very tricky. Another approach I've seen is a designer as kind of a stakeholder, the stakeholder level, dealing with other stakeholders and providing wireframes that are then signed off. This can be problematic because, again, it feels like the work can be going on before the rest of the Scrum team is developing the software, and also it becomes less of a Scrum team because all of the resources aren't available. So it's rather, again, a part-time solution, but elevating the designer. A full-time designer within a Scrum team is arguably how Scrum is meant to be. The designer is there to answer questions, is part of the team. However, there's a monetary cost to this, and designers might not always be available. So here's a big what if. What if you are experiencing issues having specialist people in specialist roles? For developers, this has led to the development of the full stack engineer. Within a Scrum team, could you have developers who are also designers, or designers who are also developers? People who are more multifunctional, so you don't have this lack of skill in a certain area. The team grows and develops to fill any holes when a team member might leave or there's a problem with recruitment. Obviously, this is tricky and it's a different way of working because generally in the context I've worked in, things are compartmentalized and people are doing a single job, and a developer, their comments on design aren't always welcome or don't have availability for the software they might need performing design functions. However, being more multifunctional in approach could, in some circumstances, give good outcomes. In any project, properly resourced teams can be hard to obtain and hard to keep together. So it's always good to have some thinking of what you might do if the resources aren't available. And unfortunately, it can be common that obtaining a good number of competent designers is tricky. And so therefore, it's a good idea to look at some of these strategies or think about how a Scrum team might function if there's a shortage of the designer. However, it always depends on the context. It always depends on the culture of the organization, who's available, and what type of project is being taken on. But it's always good to have a think about these things. Anyway, Thanks for watching.